Now the game isn't played that way. You've got to stay on track. Walk on, watch your back. Walk on, stay on track.
Welcome to the Social Engineering Podcast number 5. This is a special edition. You probably noticed we haven't waited a month. We have a real special podcast for you tonight. We have most of the development crew that we can gather for BackTrack 4 with us. And instead of doing our normal presentation where we're going to go through something centered around social engineering, we're going to talk to our buddies here from BackTrack 4 dev team about BackTrack, get to know them a little bit more, and we have some questions that we're going to field from people out in the community that wanted to know a little bit more about the guys here who made BackTrack. So let's first introduce our panel. I got to do this first in case he's got to hang up, but this is crazy. Dave, or Relic, he's usually here with us. He's here, but Dave, where the heck are you right now?
I'm currently at the urgent care right now, and suppose I'm getting EKG.
So the anesthesia hasn't kicked in yet.
Yeah.
You still talk to us for a bit longer.
So you're
Listen, if you have an operating table, I'll make this call, okay? All right?
Yeah. Man, I
really
can't
appreciate it. Your dedication is just unbelievable.
Well, I spent all last night hugging the toilet, so I figured today I might as well go to the doctor. It hasn't gotten much better, so.
Too much information.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's what I had told him yesterday.
Ridiculous. But I just can't believe he's here with us while on the table waiting for his EKG. So we had to introduce him first. Along with Dave, we got Elwood. Elwood, you're here too as part of the panel.
Yeah, and I'm actually being operated on right now.
You're having a limb amputated, aren't you?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, actually, yeah. I'm having a fourth arm added.
A fourth arm added?
Fourth, because I already had the third. So.
And all of your hair shaved off.
Well, that goes without saying.
Yeah, of course. And on top of that, we now have and myself, Logan or Chris, and we have our dev team, Mutz or Maddie. How you doing, Mutz? And Balding Parrot, or better known as Paul. He's over here from the UK. How you doing, Paul?
I feel like I'm having an operation as well.
It's rubbing off. You see what you're doing to us, Dave? And our good buddy Pure Hate, or Martin. How you doing, Martin?
Good. I'm not having an operation.
Yeah, one of us, finally. And we also have our web developer for the BacktrackLinux.org site, and that's DigiIP, or Tom. How you doing, Tom?
Hey. How they doing?
Tom is obviously not getting operated on either.
No, Tom is not getting operated on.
No operations today.
Now, I'd like to say that we wanted to have MGen here, but he wasn't able to make it. But we do want to give him a mention because he was definitely a big part in this. So let's just start talking to these guys. We talked to a few people. We got some questions coming in through email. I guess we tweeted a little bit about what's going on here tonight, and we got some questions coming in for you guys. So BackTrack 4, Mutz, when was it released?
Heck, I don't even remember.
Was it 48 hours yet?
It
was Monday around 4 p.m.
Monday at 4 p.m. So
yeah, that
now
makes sense.
Yeah, so it's a little over 48 hours.
That makes sense. Monday 4 p.m. sounds reasonable.
And can you? I don't know if you want to release this info, but what are we looking at as far as unique downloads now?
I can probably tell you, just a sec. I'll quickly refresh my Uber Secret Statistics page. And we're looking at around 34,798 downloads. Ooh. These are from distinct IPs, and they include all the torrents as well.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. I keep on looking at these numbers, and I can't believe what I'm seeing.
34,000 and what?
Let me refresh.
That's incredible. Last night it was 25,000.
Now you said, Martin, you said, or Paul, you said 25,000. When was that?
I think that was early hours of this morning.
So not even in a full day.
Yeah.
We went up like over 10,000.
Yeah, it's quite amazing.
This is the largest that we've ever seen, isn't it?
Definitely. It's never been this intense, especially the first few days. I remember that our last major release of BackTrack, BackTrack 3, I believe it was, we had something like 30,000 downloads in a week.
How are the servers holding up?
Barely. All the guys who are helping
1 gig pipe.
All the guys who are helping us host the servers are bravely holding up and not shutting down their servers, even though I'm sure it's costing them an arm and a leg. But basically all the servers are maxed out. 1 gig servers giving it at 50 megs per second. It's around 400, 500 megabits per second. Insane amounts of traffic. Torrent is taking around 40% of all of the downloads.
That is ridiculous.
It is.
I just can't get over that. And this is only 48 hours into it, maybe 50 hours into it. So I can't imagine what we're going to see in the next week or so.
I have a question. How does someone become an official mirror for BackTrack?
Well, this is actually a good question, because we've had several people contact us requesting to be mirrors. Basically what we try to do is we try to get a feel for how many downloads of BackTrack we're getting. So we always come out with a request for people not to mirror BackTrack themselves and link to it directly, but if they want to become a mirror, then contact us and we'll add them to the mirror list. Basically, the requirements would be someone with a lot of bandwidth. We're talking about easy 200 megabits per second constant. Again, depending on your server, anything less just gets saturated really quickly. And then
So my 2 megabit connection at home wouldn't work much.
You should see how quickly these lines get saturated. It's unbelievable. I've got some bandwidth graphs here which just blow me away.
I think the server can handle the load.
And the server that can handle the load, even though we do have a sort of semi-intelligent way of trying to handle the bandwidth of the server, the downloads to the server depending on the bandwidth. But yes, you need a lot of bandwidth. You need to be a really, really serious bandwidth dude.
Crazy, man.
So the prerequisites for being a mirror is you have to be a pretty insane bandwidth dude.
Technically speaking, I didn't want to get, into too many details
terms,
here.
Dave, we try to
No
keep
problem.
this on a simple level. Stop using such big terms, okay?
Hey, that's
Dave,
my new handle, the pretty insane bandwidth dude.
Yeah.
We'll set up the U.S. mirror at Dave's house. He's got a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah. Hook it up
Yeah,
to his
2 megabits
EKG
per
machine.
Hook it up to the EKG.
Hook it up to the EKG. He'll shoot it out of his butt.
Whoa. Actually, hey, Chris, everybody at work figured out that I was on this podcast, and everybody at work has been listening to all the previous podcasts I listened to. My boss, Jessica Welpole, she's like becoming a fan now. She's listened to every single episode.
Oh, really?
You want to say hi to her?
Hey, Jess. I mean, I'm so getting in trouble for mentioning your name, but that's cool.
Has anyone asked you for an autograph?
Yeah, when
unemployed.
you need a job, don't call us, okay?
Sounds good.
So, Mutz, before we start with the plethora of questions, I thought we'd had one that was really, really good. The last podcast, I just want you to know, it was all Dave's idea to offer a free date with you. If you kept
free date.
at the end. A free date with you.
It was actually a romantic date. Let's just be clear.
A free romantic date.
Free romantic date with Mutz, and then waiting to get it, you get to listen to the end of the podcast, and we'll give you the secret on how to get the free date with Mutz.
Are you kidding me?
That was Dave's giveaway, the last podcast. I mean, you got to download and listen to it. But anyhow, because of that, a lot of people had sent in. No, that has nothing to do with this question. But a lot of people were asking how BackTrack got started. Like, what
how
was the story?
BackTrack got started? I think that's the most common story on the internet on how BackTrack got started. It's like every single web page about BackTrack has the how BackTrack got started.
I don't know about that. Why don't you tell us?
Well, there's a few levels to this story, because how BackTrack got started is quite simple. Many years ago, I really forget how many, I was developing a live distribution, Wapix, which then turned to Wax, and Max Moser was developing Auditor. and we joined forces, and we figured out that the name should be BackTrack. So that's how BackTrack came to be. But how I got developing live CDs is a slightly different story. I think I've mentioned this story once or twice as well. It was many years ago. I was contracted to do some work at a specific facility which had very high security needs, and they wouldn't allow me to bring in any hardware. So I was contracted to run a pen test, an internal pen test, but I cannot bring any hardware inside. So naturally, I thought that I'd, cling onto one of the internal machines, get some tools on the internet, download them, and run a local machine there, which I'll be able to use and dedicate to the job. But then I was told that I'm not allowed to touch any of the machines in terms of their hard disks. So I had to do everything in memory as such. And when I tried to think of a way to solve this situation where I could actually go and perform a penetration test, I realized that a Linux live CD would probably be the most ideal. And at the time, I believe it was Knoppix 3 or Knoppix 2 that was available. So I just downloaded that, edited the ISO a bit, added some common tools that I knew that I'd need, added some exploit repositories, and basically got started with the live CD that I was able to take to that job, and then at the end of the day, just give it to them and have it destroyed, with their standards and everything. And then I shared that with a few people, and they loved it, and somehow it got to the internet, and people started downloading it. Huh. And that's basically the story.
Now, listen, what we did is we tweeted online that we were doing this right before we started doing it, and if people have questions, they can send them in. So we're getting questions to the contribute@socialengineer.org email.
Okay.
One of them that came in on this topic is, when you did that, did you ever think at any point in time that BackTrack would be doing 35,000 downloads in a 48-hour period?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, this job was slightly before I left off to my honeymoon. And the specific individual who I shared the ISO with whipped up a quick site and put up the ISO there for download. And I only found out about this when I came back, and I was thinking to myself, who the heck would want to download an ISO like that? And now we have around 30,000 downloads in 24 hours. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that was a question from Fat32. He was real curious about if you ever had that vision, if you started this with the thought that someday it's going to be the largest pen testing distro in the world.
So basically, BackTrack at the time was built for my own personal needs, to solve an immediate problem that I had.
So
it wasn't BackTrack at the time; it was actually Wapix.
What was the name? I mean, where did BackTrack come from? What was the?
You mean the name?
Yeah, the name BackTrack. Like, what was the thought process in coming up with that name?
There wasn't much of a thought process. I remember we posted in the forums some options for names for the new distribution, and BackTrack came up. So there wasn't any magic behind picking the name. Wapix and Wax, on the other hand, were names that were mentioned that were suggested by Morning Wood at the time, who has a real good knack for coming up with catchy names. Wapix at the time was White Hat Knoppix, which I guess wasn't too imaginative, and then Wax when we moved to Slacks. So those were both Morning Wood, actually.
So what about the logo? How do you come up with that?
The logo, our dear friend Shads, who unfortunately has continued his normal life in Australia.
A moment of silence for Shads.
We love him. We really do.
We really do. We love you, Shads.
We do. He did all the original artwork for BackTrack. He came up with the logo dragon, and basically we've just been reworking that dragon version and version after. I have a fetish for dragons, and specifically I love the BackTrack logo. I think it's a really smart-looking dragon. Love it.
Someone just sent in, how has BackTrack affected your marriage? You can feel free to not answer that one, but
my wife.
That was a touchy subject.
Should we get your wife on here to answer that one?
Actually, she's really understanding.
It's a valid question.
She understands my needs. She doesn't give me too much hassle.
Yeah. So let's see. We got a couple other guys here. We had some questions that came in for them too. Maybe Balding Parrot, Paul. What's your one of the questions that came in was, what was your favorite tool on BackTrack? I know it's a hard one. Mutz and I were talking about that beforehand to answer that, but do you have like one tool?
I suppose that's got to be OpenVAS.
OpenVAS.
Yeah. It was one of the first packages I was asked to do.
And one of the nastiest ones as well.
I spent practically 2 weeks solid trying to sort out all the dependencies and bugs in it, and in the end there was one file that had read-only permissions but needed write permissions, and trying to find that file in thousands of them was an absolute nightmare. So it became a bit of a nightmare for me, and I suppose because of that it's become my favourite.
You came, conquered, and now it's your new best
love.
And it still continues to kick my... to this day.
As we say in America, you're Fanny.
Well, we wouldn't call it that. Cause
I know. For our UK listeners, I'm sorry. Paul Martin, Pure Hate.
Yeah.
How about that same question? You got a tool that's your favorite in the distro?
Wait a minute. Before Martin answers, I have to tell you a short story about.
Oh no.
I think we all know what tool he's going to say.
Yes, there's only one ridiculous story that goes like this. I remember some time ago, CUDA just came out, Pirate came out as well. And this whole GPU thing really intrigued me, and I didn't have time to check it, and I didn't have the proper hardware. So I tell Pure Hate, I ping him on IRC, I tell him, listen, can you do me a favor? He's like, sure. I tell him, I need you to check out this CUDA stuff. Okay, check out, what's included, how, what we need to run it, test it out if you can, etc. 3 months later, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 months later, move the timeline, and Pure Hate's got a machine with 3 NVIDIA dual, what is it, 295s?
Yeah, 295 GTXs.
With how many cores, doing how many PMKs per second?
Right now it does 80. I have 4 of them now.
80,000.
Wow.
80,000.
Talk about take an idea and run with it.
Yeah, just a tad. So I think we probably know what your answer is going to be, huh, Pure?
Yeah, so it's no secret that the GPU-powered tools have become my favorite. I'm one of those people that just likes to watch passwords crack just to do it, and I love to watch them decrypt, and I love to watch them on steroids with GPUs, and so I love the WPA, the Pirate tool, and I love the CUDA Multiforcer, and I was 1 day late for the final, but I actually just added a RAR password cracker that's GPU powered that took me a few weeks to get the code correct. The guy sent me the sources in a shambles, so I uploaded that a day late, but it is available in a cracks RAR encrypted archives.
I have an interesting story about Pure Hate also. When I first started working with him a little bit online on IRC, he sent me a link in IRC Hate TV, which is like your channel for videos. Yeah. So, I have it open on the screen, and my wife walks in the room, and she sees this browser open with, it's called Hate TV, or Hate Videos, or whatever it is, and then this guy messaging me called Pure Hate. And she's like, what kind of people are you talking to? And then here's this guy in the channel talking about how much he loves his wife and kids, and I'm like, but look, he's really not that bad. So your name definitely doesn't fit who you really are, but not as interesting as Maddie's story.
It's a nickname from when I was a kid, and I've just kept it online for years, so stuck with me.
So, Mutz, here's a question that came in, which I can't repeat exactly.
Are you making these up, or did they really come in?
No, they can't. I'm serious. These people, I have a couple that I will tell you when they're mine. But
I want to see CCs of these.
These questions came from people, and you know who can vouch for this question? Balding Parrot can vouch for this question.
All right. I know what question's coming, and I can vouch for it.
He was part of this whole process in gathering questions from.
All right, go.
No, I wasn't part of it. I was.
Well, you were observing.
Eavesdropping.
Yeah, he was eavesdropping. And you know what? Someone asked a question, Balding Parrot, about who is the most paranoid. Now we got the answer. It's Mutz. I want proof. I'm like, I'm paranoid. I'm at his right hand for like 3 years when I'm telling him these things.
Just because I'm paranoid, that doesn't mean they're not out to get me.
Well, that's true. The question is, what the heck took so long?
The answer is, stop whining.
I knew that was coming.
We tried harder.
Well, I'll tell you what took so long.
He didn't say
BackTrack 4.
Try harder.
BackTrack 4 was a major leap, a real major leap over BackTrack 3. Light years ahead in terms of maintenance and quality of work, etc. And this leap took 3 stages. Essentially, the first was moving to our own repositories, which took time. It took time to figure out, the best way to run these repositories. Running a repository is not a simple thing. And then we changed our structure completely to much
someone
more.
To break it too.
Sorry.
Easy for someone to break it too.
Yes. It's much more delicate, but yet it allows much more control. And then when Emgent came in, we restructured our repos completely. Something interesting happened at the time. We were using external KDE repositories, and they made some major change. So an update basically broke KDE. And what we realized is that we'd have to have our own versions of the repositories, and we'd have to hand fix any repositories which are problematic, any packages which are problematic. So we ended up importing the whole Ubuntu repositories and the Kubuntu repositories, and then mixing and matching and putting everything in place, and then adding on our tools. So the whole process of getting the repositories in place and figuring out how to properly upgrade packages and how to properly upgrade the kernel, which is a real big issue. It took us time. It took us time, especially as we had a really busy year as well. So, based on free time with volunteers and introduce all of these changes, that amounts to a long development process.
So with that infrastructure that you're alluding to.
Complete rewrites as well.
Yes, complete rewrites. Not once and not twice even.
No, more than that.
Yeah.
Complete, total rewrites.
Yeah.
So with this new infrastructure that you had to develop, going forward, are you going to be looking at dot releases? Are you going to be full releases? What's your plan for that?
Well, that depends on how forward you mean. Looking at BackTrack 4, what I guess is going to happen is that the repositories will be maintained on a regular basis. And we might just have snapshot releases of the current build. BackTrack 5, which I'm afraid to even start talking about it because it still isn't even in its embryonic states. But BackTrack 5 is going to be more integrated in terms of packaging. We'll probably be offering source packages for once. and that
Windows 7 based.
Sorry?
And Windows 7 based.
Windows 7 based, yes. But I think the main issue about that is that will for the first time provide source packages, and very hopefully that will lead to a 64-bit distribution as well.
Wow, there's some future announcement plans right there, huh?
No. This is not a future announcement plan. This is just a mere thought.
I think we all heard it.
This is all a theory.
This is all a theory, exactly.
Hey, Pure Hate, we want the next version of BackTrack to be able to run off of a GPU. So that brings up the question, which is also not one of mine. Pure Hate or Balding Parrot can vouch for that. Is what was the motivation then to move to a Debian kernel, to get away from Slack and to move to what BackTrack 4 is today?
Yeah, the move was more of more to a Debian-like distribution, Ubuntu specifically. Basically, what we saw in BackTrack 3 is that we were spending most of the time trying to deal with dependencies and trying to deal with libraries which weren't at the right place and symbolic links across things, and it was a big mess. Very, very difficult to spend time building tools and reconstructing tools when you're constantly fighting with dependencies. So we thought about which distribution would give us the most versatile repositories, the most versatile, the most flexible operating system that we could use in order to change, and we came up with Ubuntu. Now we got a lot of flack for that. We got a lot of hassle for choosing Ubuntu because Ubuntu has a reputation for being a noobish operating system, a noobish version of Linux. Yet I strongly disagree, because at the end of the day, Linux is Linux, and the way you decide to look at it is your impression of the Linux world and the operating system. At the end of the day, you've got a shell, you've got a kernel, you've got bash. Linux is Linux. So we sort of let that fly over our head. We didn't take note of all the heat that we got. And at the end of the day, what we have now is an operating system which is updatable. So every time you've got a security fix, you've got like we had that major kernel vulnerability some time ago. We were able to update the kernel, and people were able to update this, their operating system at home and stay secure. So this, to us, having this possibility outweighed everything else.
Yeah, I remember, I think a couple of years ago, or was it just last year? I can't remember when it was. We were at DEF CON. And
yeah, this was 2 years ago when we were at DEF CON and everyone was running BackTrack 3.
Of the wget vulnerability?
Yeah, and everyone was running wget, and I was just looking at everyone's desktops, and I was thinking to myself, gosh, all of these people, they could be hacked so quickly.
I remember you saying that, and that's when you said that we have to change BackTrack 4, or the next version of BackTrack has to be based off of something.
The main issue was having an updatable and easy-to-manage repository with security updates. That was the main issue.
I mean, it's so easy now. Somebody submits a bug, we take the package, we fix it, we SVN it back up, and a few days later it comes down to everybody else. Yeah. No problem.
Yeah, it really is a nice feature to have, especially seeing how many downloads we have. I mean, this is real time. Probably in the next month we're going to see hundreds of thousands of people using BackTrack.
Well, I'll tell you how easy.
Well, if you think about it, beta version had over 4 million downloads.
Yeah. So
that's an awful lot of people that this affects. So we had to do something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you.
The update process is easy enough that literally my 8-year-old does it. He has BackTrack on a laptop that I let him use, and I have him do the updates. So
update method
that makes us feel really good.
Yeah. Well, your family's not normal.
An 8-year-old can do it.
Well, so all those people posting complaints, I can't get it to update. I can't run apt-get update.
8-year-old can do it.
Can we tell them your 8-year-old can do it?
There you go.
That's your new slogan. So easy, an 8-year-old can do it.
Yeah, there we go. We'll make a video. So here's another one. Came in for each one of you. What's your real job?
I pass.
Yeah.
I'm an addict.
Great.
Addict, and thankfully, my addiction can sustain me.
I think we all know what your real job is, Mott. So, Martin, what do you do for a living?
I actually just own my own small computer IT store. Just do small business networking and repair computers and that kind of thing, and the occasional small assessment. But that's about it. Work on BackTrack, and I also am a live sound engineer. I don't go on tour anymore because I got married, which prompted me to open the IT business. But so I still go out when the money's right for a few weeks on tour with various artists.
That's cool.
But other than that, I just work in IT.
We should get you to make some sounds for the startup and shutdown. Make some cool sounds.
Some cool sounds. We can do that.
I
was a big fan. I was a big fan of the Mortal Kombat one, so I thought that was great.
Yeah, I thought so too. We got some bad press about that.
Well, that was great.
I know.
Yeah, that was great until the day we were sitting in the airport, and we open up our laptops, and I'm sitting next to the only guy who looks like a Middle Easterner in the airport, and his laptop yells out, "Finish him!" It definitely wasn't good. I'm like backing away. Like TSA is coming closer with their tasers, It's like, no. Trying to mute the thing.
I'm surprised you remember that.
Yeah, of course I remember that.
I thought you'd block it out.
Well, it was a little scary, and then he's closing down. No, really, it's nothing. And he closes down. The closing down one was what?
Flawless victory.
Yeah, flawless victory. It's like, oh, crap. So, BP, what about you?
Talking to me?
Oh.
Yeah, BP, Balding Parrot, Paul.
Yeah.
Wrong guy.
Yeah, BP's fine. It's hard to say, really. I haven't really got a job as such. I'm a stay-at-home carer for a disabled adult, mostly.
Well, that's a job.
Well,
that's a
yeah.
job.
That is.
Yeah, it is. But, a lot of people don't see it as that. But
Well, they're twats.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a lot of work. Not to compare what you do, but like my wife, she doesn't work outside the home, but she takes care of 2 kids, myself, and a house. And people say, "What do you do for work?" I'm like, "That's a job." It's probably a harder job than what I have.
Oh yeah, I'd much rather go to work than have to do all that stuff.
Kidding? Definitely. Any day of the week, I'll take
anytime
over my wife's job any day. So I think what you're doing, that's great. It's great. It's a job.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
That's good to hear.
No problem. That's excellent. Let's see, what else we got? We had a couple more. Elwood, you had a list there. Somebody emailed you, right? Anything else on that one?
Let's see here. As far as with some of the response, has there been any real surprises with the response outside of, say, the massive amounts of downloads? I noticed that there's the forums are getting a fair amount of traffic. Anything particular happening on there?
I'll give it a shot, and then I'll pass it on to Balding Parrot and Pure Hate. I haven't seen too many responses. Who is it? Andrew. Andrew was showing me Twitter full, and I was looking at BackTrack 4, and at the time of the download, I was just seeing tweets all over the place, but I haven't seen any responses. I think I saw one article which was first impressions of BackTrack, and they were just trying a few things. But I haven't seen any proper sort of assessment of what's going on there. I guess that's difficult as well, because each person uses BackTrack in a different way and has different things to test and play with. Each person has their preferred set of tools, which will be more important to them. So No, I can't really say that I've seen any responses as such. You guys seen anything, by the way?
No, I haven't, and in fact, I just did a little Google, and I don't really see a whole lot of people reviewing the final yet. But I actually think that speaks to of how good an operating system it is. Because the first thing to come out is usually complaints.
I think so too.
So I take it as.
I think so too. I think in this case, silence is an indication, because usually I remember that when we had issues with the release, and the first things that we'd hear, the forums would be exploding and people would be having problems left, right, and center. I think the fact that we're not seeing too much response is because people are just too busy digging in and playing around with it, and hopefully not encountering errors and problems.
Well, I think there's so much more new stuff in there, so much more for everyone to actually get their teeth into, that it's going to take them longer to come to some sort of opinion over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone sent me a paste bin of the tool list that's in BackTrack 4.
Okay.
And each tool... Now, this is a little inaccurate because some of the tools have the tool name and then a menu option, but there's 1,722 lines in this document.
I'd probably half that.
Half that.
I think that's a little exaggerated.
I'd probably half
I'm
that.
I'm sure I saw that
menu packages,
and a lot of those were
many of them would
dependencies and libraries.
Library, okay. So what would you say the tool count is? You think it's half the 1,700 or less?
I would guesstimate around 400 or 500.
Still,
I would say 400 or 500.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I mean, of course, there's much more packages because some of the tools have many dependencies, like OpenVAS, for example.
Oh yeah.
Where. Not to bring that sore subject up again.
As Paul twitches. One thing we haven't done, guys, and this is like my oversight. I feel like rewinding. We're talking about the new BackTrack 4. We're talking about all the new tools. We're talking about the new kernel, the new everything. But in addition to BackTrack 4 being new, it also has a new IRC channel for support and has a new website.
Yes.
Where it's just been developed. So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, the easy one, irc.freenode.net, and now it's what's the channel, Mutz?
BackTrack-Linux.
BackTrack-Linux. Okay, and then the URL is backtrack-linux.org.
Correct.
And with us, we also have, we introduced him before. We have Tom, the web developer.
Yes.
Of that. So he's not only the web developer, but also our new guru behind graphics.
Yes.
Because one of the big questions that comes in, and it's on the channel a lot. People will come in and say, "Man, who the heck did that logo, or who did that graphic, or who did this?" Tom.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to know who did it. So.
Who did it? Come on,
did it?
Well, that would be my alter ego, Digipy. That's just something I have fun doing, playing with Photoshop and messing around with the web pages, and you guys keep me pretty busy with that kind of stuff.
Keep him busy.
Well, you did an excellent job. The new site is amazing.
Thank you very much.
It really is.
You do the wallpaper with the fireworks on it.
I'm sorry?
The wallpaper with the fireworks, the pink fireworks.
Did you do that, did you?
Do that?
Yes, I did.
That one is getting spread.
Amazing wallpaper. There are tons of people that want that as a desktop wallpaper.
You'll need to blow it up, Tom. You'll need to blow it up. I think the image we made was tiny.
Yeah, it wasn't the source file I had for the fireworks weren't that large to begin with.
Yeah.
But I can probably find something to rework it.
But did you notice?
There's been a huge amount of requests for that.
Not only requests, but that single image is on every website that's announcing BackTrack 4. We found it on a Chinese website, a Russian website, all over the U.S., English websites.
That's what happens. A lot of my artwork that's been on the BackTrack forums, I happen to find on a lot of faces that get defaced, directly hot linked to my website. So I've had to go in and take a lot of the artwork down because, I don't necessarily condone their actions. But if they want the wallpapers, they can hit me up, and I'll definitely make something for somebody.
Yeah, stop linking back to the guy. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
It's not even so much hot linking. It's where they're hot linking it to, because if you're defacing a website and you're putting the BackTrack dragons up there, I've made a couple alternate wallpapers. It kind of makes it look like I had some involvement in it.
Yeah.
He's our web guy. Leave him alone.
Right.
Find your own web guy.
I think on the topic of defacement, that it just sucks.
It does, but where did that come from?
It's senseless kiddie stuff in it.
There was a question, and I know the answer already, but I'm going to ask it because it was asked by one of our guys here. Do you have any plans down the road, Mutz, to release like different versions of BackTrack, maybe one specifically for forensics or specifically for exploit dev or specifically for SE or anything like that?
Not as such, but what I believe will happen, especially when we get our repositories more and more aligned over time, is that the meta packages that we built will probably take on a new arrangement where you'll be able to, say, download a base ISO and then just do apt-get install and the meta package name, for example, forensics, and that will install all the forensics tools in the repository for you. And then once you have that, you can close the ISO and have your own custom ISO. So I do see that happening. I don't see us releasing various versions because it's, at the end of the day, customizable. It's something that the end user can do relatively easily. I don't see the need to actually make and maintain more editions of BackTrack just for this.
And that was a great answer, because I kind of expected "stop whining" to be the answer, but that was a really good answer.
It was my first option.
Yeah, it was your first option.
Actually, that brings up another point, though. I remember when you first did the pre-final, there was, I believe there was some issue with people adding the BackTrack repositories to other versions of Linux and having some problems because of that.
Correct.
Is that still something that's going on, or is that pretty much stopped, or what's the status with that?
I don't know if people are still doing it. My bet is that they are. But at the end of the day, what needs to be realized is that Ubuntu is not BackTrack, and BackTrack is not Ubuntu. The main difference, of course, is coming from the kernel. So everything kernel-related, everything driver-related, is completely different between BackTrack and Ubuntu, say. So when you try to add the BackTrack repository to Ubuntu and you try to install Metasploit, that will work. But the minute you start doing things which are a bit more involved, you'll probably break your system because drivers won't be compatible and stuff won't work together because it's based on a different kernel. So most of the scripts and tools might work, but eventually you'll balk your system. That's a rule of thumb.
And we basically just gave up trying to keep people from doing it. I mainly just say if they do it, I don't support it when their system's broken, which it will, because there's so many of the tools that are kernel-specific, like Mutz was saying, and driver-related, and they simply just won't work. And, most of those are some of the best tools in BackTrack. So if you can't use those, there's no real reason to use the BackTrack repositories.
Hey, Mutz, here's another one that came in. Why not use GNOME?
That's probably a more historical question than anything. I'm a KDE person, always have been. GNOME has always been over-bloated for me. I've never really hooked onto it. So from day one, I was always KDE oriented. And everyone that's got a problem with that,
try harder.
I'm just kidding.
GNOME sucks.
I don't know. I've found situations where I've actually preferred it. KDE 4 has been a big letdown for me. And this is actually a big issue because on one hand, I wouldn't move on to KDE 4 because it just wasn't, and in my opinion, still isn't ready to replace KDE 3.5. And on the other hand, KDE 3.5 was very very comfortable to work with. So we actually stayed with KDE 3.5, and we probably will as long as we can manage.
Now, let's see, we've been on the call, I don't know, close to an hour. And when we started, you were telling us around 34,700. You want to tell us what we're at now?
Was it 34,700?
34,500, I think it was.
Oh, let me see.
Does anyone remember the exact number? The great part about this being recorded is we'll be able to know later.
We're talking about 35,176.
Well, at 1942, BackTrack tweeted it was 34,380.
Wow. So what's that, 1,000 plus?
Yeah, that's over 1,000 in less than an hour.
Over 1,000 in less than an hour. I think that is a testimony right there to the popularity, and I think that we probably can rightfully say that the community would agree with me in saying thank you. This is a tremendous tool that, despite all the joking and everything, I mean, this is a tool that a lot of us use to make a living. And knowing that, I think one of the most important questions that always comes up, and I know this for a fact in working with you much, that you get asked this all the time, when are you going to start charging money for BackTrack?
Never ever. Basically, BackTrack started as a project, not as a project, as a piece of work that I need to do for myself, and eventually it will always stay that way. It's a product. It's a tool that I make for myself, and of course now it's grown. It's not me. It's the team. But we make it for ourselves, and we're happy to share it with everyone else. I don't ever see BackTrack going commercial. It's just wrong.
I agree.
I agree too, but everyone always asks it because, they hear these numbers. I know for a fact we had one guy, if you charge 99 cents a download.
Exactly. We had 4 million downloads of the beta. The first question I always get asked is, why don't you charge $1 for each download? You could be a millionaire by now.
I mean, heck, I would download it 5 times and pay you $5 with no thought. Just for the heck of it. It doesn't matter, but
Talking about money, by the way, we are accepting donations.
On the site?
Yes, if you go to the site and you go to the community page.
I love what you typed there. I love it.
What is it?
I love it. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it right now.
I mellowed it down.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. If you want to rephrase the original text, go ahead. But I mellowed it down.
Let me just get there real quick. And
no, you changed it.
I changed
it. I know.
I was told it's not professional.
By who?
Don't ask.
Okay, I won't because I know who you're going to say. But I liked it because let me tell you. Here's what he says now. If you'd like to donate, we're forwarding all of our community donations to Johnny Long's HFC, which is the Hacker for Charity program in East Africa. Please feel free to donate even a small amount to these efforts. What I loved about that originally, the original text was, we don't want your stinking money.
Would you like to donate to us? Well, we don't want your stinking money. But we know someone who does.
That was epic. I can't think of anything else, guys. I think what you guys did is tremendous, and I think the community is showing their support by how many downloads are there. Over 1,000, well over 1,000 since we started yapping here. You can check them all out on backtrack-linux.org. You can get a hold of Tom. Tom, if anyone has any questions or wants to check out some other Tom's work, Tom, you want to tell us your site?
It's digip, digip.info.
Okay, so digip.info. You can check them out on that. You can stop in at the IRC channel, again, freenode.net. BackTrack-Linux. You can come on there, and we have a bunch of people in there helping with support issues. If anyone has any questions about some of the new features, you can check them out there. Anything you want to say in the end? Anything you guys want to say, or at all?
We'd love to get feedback. What I'd like to say is we'd love to get feedback. We'd love to get more people involved in the forums. We actually put forums. They were a bit hidden until we managed to get set up. But the forum button is now on the site. We'd love to see more submissions for hardware compatibility. If your laptop works and everything's fine and dandy with it, then stop by, post it in the forum, so we'll have that for reference. This will help in the future tremendously.
On the forums, can I just add one small thing?
Please.
It's just a little thanks to Mutz, really. He told me I had 2 days to get them ready, and then gave me an hour. Not even an hour. So, thanks.
You're welcome, buddy. Anytime you need it, I'm there to back you up.
And because you thanked him, you can guarantee this will happen again to you.
Oh, I know it will. I am without doubt it will happen time and time again. But yeah. I expect it from Mutz.
When I say 2 days, I actually mean 1 hour. Don't you know me by now?
Well, when he says 2 days, you really do have 2 days. But what happens is he forgets to tell you what you got to do for a day and a half.
I was just going to say, you have to wait for him to come back and tell you after he finishes his sentence.
I need this in 2 days. Okay, what do I do? And then a day and a half later.
Wait 2 days.
Yeah. We love you much. You know that, right?
Yeah.
We only tease because we care.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do if you want to follow is on Twitter. Twitter.com, BackTrackLinux is the Twitter ID if you want to follow Mutz and the dev crew there.
You're good at this, Chris.
Thanks, man. Hey, I'm here promoting this. This is great. I think since I even started working with you 3 years ago or so, I remember coming in all green and wet behind the ears and talking to this guy at DEF CON and thinking, man, why doesn't he charge 99 cents a stinking download? The dude would be rolling in it. I mean, 3 million, 4 million downloads, and who the heck's not going to pay 99 cents? I mean, how many times do we go on our iPhones and pay $1 or $1.49 for some dumb, useless application like iFart? And hey, come on, it's dumb and useless. And
hey, I'm here. And Dave, I'm not sure if Dave's still on.
Dave, you on? Oh, look, talking of the devil, I got a text from Dave. Chest x-rays and EKGs are done. I'm waiting for my results.
Oh, my Lord.
So I guess he had to go.
So
He's still alive. Somebody hack in and tell him he needs to have a colonoscopy.
Much quick. Hack into the hospital.
He'd enjoy that.
Oh. We should then have the machine beep, love Mutz.
Yeah.
At the end.
Time for his prostate exam.
Dr. Mutz is your new doctor. Oh, man. Great work, guys. Seriously, great work.
Thank you very much.
And great work on the site. It's beautiful. I can't wait to see in a week from now what the heck's going to be happening with these downloads. I mean, being at 35,000 in a little over 48 hours is kind of mind-numbing. So, great job. Keep it up. I'm sure maybe we'll try to do this again. If anyone's coming to Shmoo, we'll see you there. Because we got the music on the end, I got to just say this. This is part of the deal. ccmixer.org if you're interested in the music. Michael Anthony is the artist. We had a guy come in the channel the other day. I think he said he doesn't listen to jazz much. Oh, yeah, Elwood, you were slapping me down. What did you call it? It's not jazz. What did you call it?
Let's see. I was tired at the time. What did I say? I'll have to scroll up in my buffer.
You always say these, super hilarious things when you're really tired. Then you don't remember them, and then when I call on you to say them again in front of an audience because they were funny,
I leave you hanging.
You leave me hanging.
Yeah.
You're
that's
terrible.
Part of the fun.
You're terrible. I hate you. I don't know why I like you so much. But it's very jazzy. So if you like this stuff, his whole album is a lot like this. You can check him out, Michael Anthony, on ccmixer.org. Don't forget to check out What were you going to say, Al?
He helped out with the SE site as well, right?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe we didn't even mention that, right?
Yeah, you got to bring that up.
Digip. I mean, we got the wiki master, which is Rawjaw. Okay, so
Yeah,
then the
don't
whole
forget
rest
Rawjaw.
of the site, everything, the graphics, all the beautiful stuff, the wallpapers,
That
everything
face
on
graphic.
the site is all Tom.
Everybody loves that face graphic. Everybody's asking about it, wanting to know who did it, and wanting to know when they can buy hats and shirts and baseball caps and everything else with that.
No joke, Tom. That's not even a joke. He's not exaggerating. I got people calling me saying that if we were to make shirts and hats and stuff, that they would be buying them off the site. With that,
Should we auction some T-shirts off at Shmoo?
you know, maybe we'll have some extra T-shirts at Shmoo with Social Engineer.
We can auction them off to charity or something.
Tell you, I got this one thing. I got the stickers that we did for last year's DEF CON.
Mm-hmm.
People were off. I mean, it's a sticker. We were giving it away. People were offering like $15 for a bumper sticker with that logo on it.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Sell it for 10.
We did. We gave a whole mess of them to Johnny Long.
Correct.
And he
Correct.
sold them for HFC.
Correct.
He said they were going for $11.50 or something, or $10 a sticker.
That's crazy.
All right, so we might have a few T-shirts, BackTrack and Social Engineer T-shirts back in Shmoo.
Oh, thanks, Mud. It gives me. Hey, this will be the deal, guys. Hey, we want some T-shirts. Chris, get them done in the next 2 hours.
Well, hey, you got him on the line. You got Tom on the line, so
Yeah.
there's no excuses. Come on.
Tom, we need T-shirts tonight.
Hey, I've already sent you the images. Just about to get them printed.
Look how fast this guy
They're
is.
in your email.
Great.
Yeah, Chris, we're waiting on you again.
Yeah, again, as usual. So maybe we'll have some stuff to auction off at ShmooCon. We'll help out Johnny a little bit. You can check out his site there. The link is right on the BackTrackLinux.org site. Okay, guys, and this was a long conclusion, but I'm glad we got everything wrapped up. I really appreciate all of you, and especially you, Paul, calling in from across the ocean there. You know,
It's no problem.
I know the times. And what time is it there right now?
2:10 in the morning.
Oof, I'm sorry, bro. But
That's all right. I was speaking to you at 4 o'clock yesterday morning, and I've been up since then, so nothing new.
Go get some sleep. And Dave, when you do hear this, thanks for calling in, even though you were on the operating table getting tubes shoved up everywhere.
He should have left the line on. We could have heard what was going on. That would have been
awesome. I mean, that would have been a true diehard. You know,
That would have been great.
In the background.
The background noise.
Oh, the background noise, the beep, beep, beep. And then we say, like, hey, romantic dinner with Mudge, and you hear beep, 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 beep. We laugh at Dave's expense.
I wish him quick health.
Okay, my friends, we'll see most of you at Shmoo. Maybe some of you later on at DEF CON. Thanks a lot for coming on the podcast. And
thanks for BackTrack.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for BackTrack, guys. Feel free to check it out on www.social-engineer.org. You can also come to the site and download the podcast. We have now 4 more previous editions on there for you to listen to. Sign up for our newsletter on the newsletter page. On Twitter, we're Human Hacker. We look forward to your feedback, too, so you can send anything in to contribute at social-engineer.org. On IRC, we're on channel social-engineer. We look forward to seeing you guys, and we'll talk to you next month.
So many problems you face. Oh, walk that away. Stay on track. Walk on. Watch your back. Walk on. Stay on track. Walk on. Watch your back. Oh, walk on. Ooh, walk on. Walk on. Walk on. Ooh. When I'm thinking about the times you say, talking about every single day. 2 steps forwards and 1 step back. Walk on. Trying to remain on track. Yeah. on track. Watch your back. Stay on track. Watch your back. Stay on track. Watch your back. Stay on track. Watch your back. Walk on. Walk on. Walk on. Walk on. You walk up in line. Time after time. Thinking things will stay the same. Now the game isn't played that way. You've got to stay on track. Walk on, watch your back. Walk on, stay on track. Walk on, watch your back. Walk on, looking around you and thinking it's okay. Forgetting about the things that you did yesterday. But if you only knew that the game isn't played that way. Stay on track, walk on, watch your back, walk on. Stay on track, walk on, watch your back, walk on. Stay on track, walk on, watch your back, walk on. Stay on track, walk on. Watch your back, walk on. Stay on track, walk on. Watch your back, walk on. Stay on track, walk on. Watch your back, walk on. Stay on track, walk on. Watch your back, walk on. Stay on track, walk on. Watch your back, walk on.